think that they're all like GPU ones.
Yeah, I mean,
I was almost thinking that people jump from
Pigos,
plant
man.
to plant,
Dude,
I mean, from company to
That's here,
company
man.
almost for the outages.
that's here.
there are no, like, for us, there are no.
I get some smokes in, man.
You
I'm playing
you
this.
can,
I'm
you
out of
can
town
take a
for
mechanic or a welder or an electrician.
He's not coming.
I can see.
Like, next week, man, I'm picking up the RV.
They don't, it's not like you don't go to school and learn how to become an IC.
Like, gone,
You
not
have
in,
to go to
So we
work
have to sit down this
Yeah.
weekend.
and do it, and do the job.
I'm gone.
So,
First to the
there
10th.
used to be
Not home.
IC contractors, but there are no companies that are just instrument control techs. Now, the companies I work for, they pay me, but they hire me
I took
because
this by phone.
Limerick or Peach or whoever says, hey, we want you. Or these are the.
You can get service out there?
Here's a list of
Yeah.
50
Oh, yeah, you have,
people.
I'm taking my
who
star.
want as many of these
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, you have.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
I don't know what they do up there. I mean,
Grace, are you ready to go? Mr. Kleinpeter, are you ready?
Already.
Is either Miss Lloyd or Mr. Curry joining us via phone?
I didn't hear from Mr. Curry. Miss Lloyd had a personal matter to tend to. She won't be.
yeah, they used to bring in mechanics and electricians.
Well, I guess we'll get started, and if they show, they show. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I would like to call to order this June 20, 2023 meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Here.
Here?
Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to report on our last executive session. We discussed real estate personnel and potential litigation. No action was taken. At this time, do I have public comment on agenda items? Could you please state your name and address for the record?
Hi, I'm Senior Master Sergeant Schultz, and I'm stationed up here at 75 Mustang Alley at the Air Base. And we are requesting to be able to use the Hoffer Park, two pavilions, I think it's 2 and 3, closest to the activities areas there, to have our family day, be about 150 people coming and going a little bit from probably the bulk of the people will get there right around 12 and probably till about 2 o'clock. But there'll be people coming and going, and we'll clean it up. And we're also, so that's on August 6th on a Sunday. And we're requesting that the rental fees could be waived. We have like a zero budget to do this, so we all do everything kind of out of pocket. With everybody has higher rank donates money. We just kind of make it happen. So we're asking for a little help in that as well. I've submitted the shelter reservation forms as well.
That's in their packet tonight.
Yeah.
Are you looking for approval on this tonight? Will we be voting on this tonight?
I also have noted it in my report. When we get there, we can decide if you want to approve it tonight or if you want to put it on the agenda for our business meeting, which is, the first week in July. Now, for your planning purposes, how soon?
This was something that just came to us from the wing. We were thinking that we were doing something on the base as a complete base, and then they said, no, you're going to do it as individual groups. So we're left kind of scrambling, looking for a
Venue.
location. That's fantastic. That would be wonderful.
So if we could approve it tonight, that would probably, August 6th will be here before you know it.
Yeah.
And, we did, Matt researched the ordinance for me on the park rental and federal agencies. It does say we're allowed to waive the fees for federal and state agencies. So,
Oh, thank you.
when we get to my report, maybe here, I'll bring that up and see if anyone wants to move to, those shoulders are available on that date that he's requesting.
Excellent. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any more public comment on agenda items? Seeing none, agenda item number 1.
We have a motion to approve council meeting minutes for the June 6th meeting as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Kluskevich, second by Councilor Lister. Any questions or comments on the meeting minutes? All in favor? Oppose? Motion carries. Agenda item number 2.
Do I have a motion to approve payment of bills as shown on the accounts payable list dated June 15th, 2023, which is for the period of June 2nd, 2023 through June 15th of 2023, and to ratify approval of such bills already paid and to authorize the appropriate officials to take the required actions to make those payments.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Kluskevich, second by Councilor Miller. Any questions or comments on the bills? All in favor? Oppose? Motion carries. Agenda item number 3.
Tonight we have with us Scott Henry and Brian March, Dr. Brown, Schultz, Sheridan, Fritz, who will give a presentation on our 2022 audit report.
Hi, everyone. We do have a presentation. It's going to look a little different than we presented last year, just a couple more graphs and so forth, rather than going through each of the financial statements. Just to let you know, the financial statements are not finalized as of this date. We'll, after we get through this meeting, we'll go over subsequent events. Ken will talk to you about any litigation issues that would need to be added. But overall, I'm not expecting any significant changes to the financial statements as they are right now. I'm actually going to start on page 4, or slide 4. As Ken mentioned, I am Scott Henry. I was the manager on the engagement. And with me today is Brian Marchuk, who is the principal on the engagement. I first wanted to say thank you to Sally, Linda, and Ken. There's a lot of work that goes into an audit, and they do a tremendous job getting everything ready for us and making it as seamless as possible. So I just wanted to start with that.
Thank you.
So starting on, if you can just go up, sorry. You can go up to the one that says scope of work and audit opinions. Yeah, one more. Or two, or it's page 2. Yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to go by slide numbers. Page 2, I'll just start explaining. It is the scope of our work. We were engaged to perform an audit on your financial statements in relation to generally accepted auditing standards. What this includes is us on a test basis. We're going over the financial statements. We plan, we look for the riskier areas, test the items as needed, and then also go over some analyticals as needed. We were not engaged to perform a test of internal controls. We do review your internal controls to see if there's any deficiencies and would bring them up if we would notice anything, but we're not providing an opinion on those internal controls. You can just scroll down a little bit. We were able to issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is the best opinion that we can give. Essentially, it says it's a clean opinion and says your financial statements are materially correct and in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It's the best opinion that we can give, and it's the same opinion that we could give last year.
Mm-hmm.
And please stop me if you have any questions along the way. You can go to the next slide, please. This slide is a comparison. It's your statement of net position. This is on the full accrual basis of accounting. So as you can see here, it has your long-term items such as your capital assets, your long-term debt. It also includes pension and OPEB items. So it probably looks a little different than what you see on a month-to-month basis since it is full accrual. A couple of notes. Current assets were approximately 58% of total assets and deferred outflows of resources. That's just a good percentage showing that you have a lot of cash. A lot of companies, in comparison, they'll have a lot of capital assets. You do have cash available for you, so 58% is a very good percentage, and it's very close to last year's 54%. There were decreases in non-current assets, as you can see there, and deferred inflows of resources, as well as there was increases in non-current liabilities and deferred outflows of resources. You can see there's big changes there. That's primarily your pension and OPEB plan. I'll get into those in a little bit here, but everyone knows the market conditions in 2022 weren't great, and there were some losses on those investments. They're just unrealized, so hopefully if we would look at those plans as of today, we would see it jumping back. But just to explain there that there were significant changes in pension and OPEB plans. Also, if you would look at the bottom, you had a net position there of about $27 million for your governmental activities and about $15 million for your business type activities. That makes up about 86% of deferred inflows and net position for the governmental and about 26% for the business type activities. And those are pretty similar to last year. As you can see with your business type activities, a large deferred inflow related to the sale of the water sewer system. So just explaining a couple of those numbers. Any questions on this statement? If you go down to the next slide, please. This is your statement of activities, 2-year comparison here. Again, this is full accrual basis of accounting, so it is going to look different than you see on a month-to-month basis because it records revenues as they are earned and expenses as they occur. Both funds were able to have a positive net position at the end of the year. Revenues for the general funds went up about $1.8 million. Expenses increased about $1 million, and transfers decreased about $850,000. I'll get into more of those numbers at the governmental level because, again, this is accrual basis, so you have capitalization of assets and changes in pensions. So it's not really cash in, cash out. Business type activities revenues increased about 7.5%, and the expenses increased about 13%. Just, again, changes in pension and so forth there. If you flip the next slide, please. This is the 2-year comparison for your balance sheet. And sorry, I should have explained. As you can see, there is 2021 is as restated. I'll get into that in a minute. We did have to make a restatement to the 21 financial statements. But as you can see in this statement, if you scroll down to the bottom here, this is your fund balance as of 12/31/2022. It's broken out into 4 components: non-spendable, which is prepaids of about $43,000. You get about $1 million of restricted related to highways, rehabilitation programs, and community fund. $4 million committed for capital projects, stabilization, and parks. $420,000 for assigned for charities, software, flood relief, fire operations, debt service, and police sinking funds. So a lot of items in that. And then an overall unassigned fund balance of about $11.5 million. So a pretty strong unassigned fund balance. Makes up about 67% of total fund balance to be able to use for operations in the future. If you flip now to the next page, this is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, also known as an income statement. This is on the modified accrual basis of accounting. So revenues are recognized when received and expenses are recognized as they incur. A couple of changes. General fund revenues increased about $1.6 million in the current year. This is due to several factors. One of them due to increases in taxes. Another is grants. You did utilize more grants in 2022, about $1 million of grants, the DCNR grant and the housing redevelopment grant to upgrade your parks were able to be utilized. Also, the ARPA funding, you had started to use some in 2021 and continue to use those funds in 2022. So overall, about a $1.6 million of revenue, and you're actually over budget about $2 million. So good positive numbers, again, primarily due to those grants coming in and being able to utilize. Your expenditures then actually decreased about $250,000, and they were under budget by about $480,000. This is primarily due to a decrease in public safety. Now, that was only because of changes in staff from 2021 to 2022. And then there was a decrease in community development. That was because the ICDA dissolved in 2021, which increased the cost in 2021 related to it. This was offset somewhat by additional expenditures on parks and recreation, as I mentioned. So overall, there was an increase in fund balance of about $2.5 million for the general fund. With that $1.8 million of transfers. Can you flip to the next slide, please? The next slide that goes over the kind of numbers that I was just talking about there, if you can go to the bottom, if you don't mind. Just a comparison of expenditures of your general fund from year to year. As you can see there, as I mentioned, public safety was down a little bit just due to changes in staff. Community development was down due to the dissolution of the ICDA in 2021. And then Parks and Rec were up because of the grant spending on those two parks that we mentioned. You could go to the next slide, please. A couple of other key highlights. Capital assets actually increased due to purchases of about $2.5 million. You purchased 231 Oak Hill Park, 4 vehicles, and then you had worked on the borough buildings and significant work on Halfer Park and Oak Hill Park, as I've mentioned. This was offset a little bit by the $2 million of depreciation for 2022. For long-term debt, you were able to pay down about $585,000 of your debt during 2022, leaving you with a remaining balance of about $910,000. And as you can see there, you were pretty aggressive paying down that 2017 general revenue note during 2022. As I mentioned, the pension and OPEB, there's 3 components of it: deferred outflows, which is actuarially determined, along with your net liability or an asset, and deferred inflows. Again, these are actuarially determined numbers with the amount that you have it to pay those down. They were all at liability positions at the end of 2021. That's primarily due to investments having unrealized losses at the end of the year. Again, if you looked at it right now, I would hope that it would have bounced back by this point. It's just kind of a snapshot in time what it was at that time, and hopefully we'll see different in 2023 here coming up. You can go to the next slide, please. During 2022, we did implement what's called GASB 87, which is related to leases. We determined that one lease that you have with AT&T Communication Towers would fall under this standard. We picked up about a $270,000 receivable and a $270,000 deferred inflows. Essentially, it's just a balance sheet concept. You increases in assets and an increase in deferred inflows, also known as a liability, which are then offsetting. And then also mentioned, there was a prior period adjustment after realization before you filed your the first federal guidance for your ARPA funding to the federal government. You were able to utilize some more of those funds during 2021. So essentially, we were just making the financial statements match what your federal filings were in March. So there was about a $500,000 adjustment to the beginning fund balance for the general fund, which increased that fund balance net position at the end of the year. Any questions on those items?
No.
Okay, the rest of my slides, if you can go to the next one, are just required communication with the board. This is very standard language. As mentioned, we were engaged to perform an audit of your financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles and auditing standards. We were not issuing an opinion on your internal controls, just on the financial statements themselves. It's also management's, you can scroll down just a little bit, management's responsibility for the financial statements and accounting policies. We can advise, but we cannot make any management decisions, so management made all those decisions. Also, during our planning of the audit, we identified grants and accounts payable as significant audit areas. So we did do additional work on those sections to make sure they were in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. Nothing to report there, just saying that those are significant areas that we identified. Here's the next slide, please. And just scroll down. As mentioned, we did implement GASB 87 during the current year, and then some significant accounting estimates. The biggest ones are related to your pension, OPEB liabilities, your compensated absences, just that actuarial evaluation. Depreciation on your fixed assets is an estimate. The net present value of the service concession arrangement that you made with your water sewer fund, and then the net present value of your lease receivable that we had at the end of the year were all significant estimates along with accounts receivable allowance. Next page, some significant disclosures as you look through the financials. The adoption of the new GASB pronouncements was very significant, as well as the net pension and OPEB obligations. We would have to report to you any material misstatements that were not corrected. We're happy to say that all misstatements were corrected during the audit, and then there were no difficulties with management that we had along the way. This page, we just go over, the next slide, just goes over some other matters. As we've communicated in the past, the borough's homestead loans that you had several years ago, they're still picked up as a receivable and then a corresponding allowance. So we just always mention, since that program is no longer continuing, to really look at those loans, make sure you're still collecting those amounts or deciding what you need to do with those going forward. Also, we just point out to make sure you're in compliance with IRS regulations for your 1099s and W-9s with all vendors. Just with the current environment we are in right now, it's very important to make sure you're in compliance with those. We didn't find anything that you weren't, just wanted to point out that it's important to stay abreast of that. And then the last matter is on the next slide. Due to the restatement, we're required to say about your internal controls about looking at grants, making sure that you have good procedures over them to make sure you're following generally accepted accounting principles. We've talked with Sally since, and she has some great spreadsheets that she's starting to utilize. That's what helped us realize the restatement for 2021. So I'm hoping going forward we will not have to repeat this, but we did have to bring that up. And then the very last slide just goes over some accounting pronouncements coming up. It's subscription-based information technology arrangements, accounting changes and error corrections, and compensated absences. We continuously talk to Sally and management about these upcoming pronouncements. I don't think any of these will have any significant impacts on your financial statements, but we always bring them up just to stay abreast. I know I went very quickly through that. Any questions I can help with or any?
Anybody have any questions or concerns? No? Sounds like it was a pretty good, successful audit.
Yep.
No
Everything-
issues?
except for that restatement, which I said was just because of just redefining your grant process and reporting. Everything went smoothly.
Well, that's good news. That's what we like to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And if anyone needs us, please don't hesitate to reach out. I know we're only here for a short period of time each year, but Sally knows our number. Contact Brian or myself at any time.
Thank you.
Right.
We have a motion to accept the 2022 audit report for the borough as presented by the auditor.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Kluskevich, second by Councilor Miller. Any questions or comments on the audit? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Agenda item number 4.
Do I have a motion to approve the Spruce Street Lot add-on final plan dated May 30th, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Kluskevich, second by Councilor Seitz. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Agenda item number 5.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-1407, authorizing the securing of one or more general obligation bonds in the maximum aggregate principal amount of $13 million to construct improvements to the borough's electric system, including building a new substation replacing the existing substation located on Spruce Street?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Kluskevich, second by Councilor Miller. Any questions or comments on the substation project? All those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Agenda item number 6.
Do I have a motion to authorize HRG to advertise and bid the demolition of 231 Oak Hill Drive?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Kluskevich, second by Councilor Seitz. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. I'm sorry, all those in favor? Oppose? Motion carries. Excuse me. Agenda item number 7.
Do I have a motion to accept the resignation of Sergeant Keegan Wenner with regret?
So moved, unfortunately.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Kluskevich, second by Councilor Seitz. Any questions or comments on the resignation? All those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion carries, and we're sad to see him leave. Agenda item number 8.
Do I have a motion to approve the resolution 2023-10 authorizing council president to enter into a 4-year lease purchase agreement with Leasing 2 Incorporated to finance the purchase of 2 2023 Ford Police Interceptors through Huffman Ford under the CoStar's purchasing program, CoStar's number 025 047 013 086 026 as approved September 6, 2022, and the cost of upfitting with the annual payment of $35,031.55 as provided in the budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Kluskevich, second by Counselor Seitz. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 9.
Okay, the first item on my report, as you'll see, is the request from the 193rd Special Operations Wing to utilize Shelter 2 and 3 at Huffer Park on August 6th from 12 to approximately 3:30 for a family day drop-in event, as you heard earlier tonight. Do I have a motion to approve that tonight?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Kluskevich, second by Counselor Miller. Any questions or comments on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Gentlemen, enjoy your gathering. It was in the report.
You know, we probably should. We probably should amend the agenda on the, put it on the internet.
Do I have a motion to amend our agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Counselor Kluskevich, second by Counselor Seitz. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'd like to take a moment. Does anybody have any public comment on that action item? No public comment. Mr. Klempner?
Okay, item number 2 on my report is a request from the school for the borough to co-sponsor and write a letter of support for Dauphin County Gaming Grant for Raider Pack's backpack feeding program. Dr. Lindsay will be attending the July 5th meeting to elaborate and answer any questions. Can we add that to the July business meeting agenda?
Yep.
Something to think about here, the Tri-County Community Action, who works with Interfaith Council of Churches, was informed that their office in Middletown, which I believe is actually in Royalton, is being closed, and they're asking if they could use a space at our facility once a week, preferably a Friday, when the food bank is open. And they want us to do this, begin this in September. They would only need a space to sit, a Wi-Fi, in order to process payments for Middletown residents in need of financial help, such as LIHEAP. So, maybe we could put that on the agenda for July 5th to vote on that. We have space. It's basically downstairs in the finance department. Somebody from DeSanto's office uses that space on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I think. So we could utilize that same empty office for the Tri-County folks on Friday if you so approve it on the July, at the July meeting. Okay.
Sounds good.
You know, when they were over in Royalton, why do I think they paid a small stipend, rent?
They're not going to allow them, the reason they're not having an office is they're not gonna pay the rent. And she just wants to be sure that she can help the Middletown residents, because she said she knows they won't take the bus into Harrisburg where the office is gonna be.
Hmm.
You have any concerns?
No, not till July.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4 ties into number 8, but we'll skip that real quick and I'm going to go skip to number 5. Just informational, we received notice from DEP that they approved our plan amendment for MS4, which we discussed several months back that you folks approved. I just want to let you know that the Department of Environmental Protection approved that plan. That had to do with instead of building our sediment control in Middletown, we joined with the county rep plan for the Conawaga project down in Londonderry. So DEP had to approve that as a plan amendment, and they did so. Number 6 there, Lower Spadina Township's having a zoning board hearing on the 28th of June at 7 p.m. regarding the Middletown Area School District's request for a variance for total coverage to exceed 30% of the lot area, and a variance to allow an accessory building to exceed 14 feet. For all those who might be interested in what the school's doing, that's information for you there. They're having a meeting at Lower Sparrow in January. Dauphin County and the Borough Planning Commission will be reviewing the zoning ordinance map amendment, and a public hearing will be held at our July 18th Borough Council meeting. Okay, now we move to,
Excuse me, Ken.
yes.
The mayor's asking if you could give him a call.
Hello, Jim Curry.
Hello, Jim, this is Ken. We have you on speakerphone here in council chambers.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 8 is rather lengthy. It covers a little bit of history of the Middletown Reservoir, how it came to be in our possession, and talks about the repairs that were made in 2005 to a abutment that was falling apart, and water was actually getting around the dam and undermining the footing of it. That repair was made by the former Water and Sewer Authority. In 2007, the authority abandoned the distribution line from the reservoir that comes in to the borough via the township and the borough of Royalton, because it wasn't being used and was not ever intended to be used for drinking water treatment. So since 2007, the authority attempted to transfer that property to a conservancy. There have been several more discussions with Borough Council regarding the future disposition of that property since 2007, all which have resulted in no action. Been a lot of discussion to either dispose of it or to improve it or to give it away, and we've never acted on it. So now here we are, 2023, and the dam is in a little more disrepair than it was in 2007. Brought some pictures if anybody wants to see them, but there is undermining and erosion of the opposite abutment that was never fixed. And I know Public Works did a patch on the breast of the dam where some blocks were washed out. The mortar is missing in between many of the blocks, and you can see it's hard to tell for us to tell whether water's coming through or it's just running down and back in. But in my opinion, it looks in bad shape, and I think council should make a decision sooner than later to either repair it, engage an engineer to look and see what it costs to repair it, or to dispose of the property. So at the present time, our state representative for this area had received, as I mentioned before, some requests from the Fish and Boat Commission to do something about the fishing at the reservoir because it's heavily silted in. You can see the silt at the dam. It just basically looks like a foot underwater in some places. And the Army Corps of Engineers has some grant money available to do that. Not 100%, but I think 50%. And our state representative believes he can come up with additional monies from other state funding sources to improve not just the desilting, but the repair of the dam. But he would need to know what direction we're going to move with that property sometime this year if we have a chance of getting on the list for funding from the state next year. Now, as I said before, we've discussed the property is located in another municipality. It is remote. We have a lot of playgrounds and things to take care of in this area. we had once discussed possibility of possibly engaging with Londonderry to see if they would be interested in taking ownership and maybe spearheading the repairs and keeping it as a park structure. I've unofficially talked to their manager, but he has not, there's been no real serious talk to anybody on the board about that. But I think we're at a crossroads. It seems that way, talking to state representatives, we do have an opportunity maybe to get, grant funding elsewhere to make improvements there. I don't know what it costs to repair a dam. I think in 2005 or whatever it was I listed, it was just $75,000 just to cap one abutment with concrete, encase it, the little coffer dam on the side, dewater it in just one area, encase it with concrete. It's remote, it's hard to get to. They had to get to it from somebody else's property to make that repair. So I imagine it's going to be a challenging project. Not sure it's the best way for us to spend our limited funds for a park to fix a dam. But if somebody else would like to partner or in some way, maybe that's the way we ought to go. It is in somebody else's township who might be willing to do that from a standpoint of MS4 credits.
Yes.
To improve
Yeah.
that property, to put silt catch areas above the reservoir and then gain credits for the MS4.
I have a few questions for you. If this property is so awful, why would anybody want to take it from us? And if there's opportunity to get MS4 credits and there's a potential to have half of that bill
First,
paid
I
for,
want to correct you and say, I didn't say it was so awful. I said the dam is, okay? The dam is in disrepair.
Yeah.
It's easily seen if you walk out there and
Yeah,
look at it.
yeah, I understand. I'm saying if the dam is in such disrepair, and this is such a bad picture, I mean, this is just devastating. Why would somebody want to take it from us, even if we gave it to them? And if there is an opportunity to get MS4 credits, and we have partners that are willing to pay half the bill, why wouldn't we want to take these MS4 credits for ourselves?
That is true. Unless, and I'm looking at Matt because I know you think about MS4, so it's not really an MS4 question, if you will, but just thinking out loud, if Londonderry was interested in taking it over, that may be a sensible way to go, I think, for two reasons. The first is that would be a big project to spearhead, and right now, it seems to me, our staff is spearheading a substation, and we are looking at a master plan for parks. So it feels like it would use up staff time to fix that property that is not really within the borough. However, to your point, if Londonderry was interested and if we granted it to them, could it be in the agreement, we'll hand over this property or sell it for $1, whatever arrangements have to be made, on the condition that we partner and get MS4 credits. So that would be part of the agreement. I think we've also suggested before that we would say to Londonderry, you cannot sell it. We're not giving you something to sell. We're giving you something to repair and use for recreation. Especially,
If you're on my mind to keep it, what I'm saying is, then we should engage our engineer to do a proper evaluation, not my evaluation, about the state of the dam and the repairs needed in the cost. Because the last time it came in here, we didn't want to spend $5,000 for them to look at it. That's
right.
why-
How many acres is
Right.
this? How many acres is this?
38, and it's in a couple of tracts. There is some acreage downstream.
So roughly 40 acres?
Yeah.
I know myself, I'll never give away 40 acres to anybody. I mean, we could sell it, you know? I mean, I'd give you $300,000 for Marshall property and put that towards your park. I mean.
well, when we look at our master plan, we certainly do have a lot of ideas
Being
within the
sarcastic,
borough,
but I mean.
within the borough limits that are going to require some serious funding.
I
So,
think even if you want to sell it, you might want somebody else to evaluate that because there is a permit, or was a permit on that dam. It is a waterway in the state of Pennsylvania, that impoundment, so you might wanna have to look at that. What would be involved? Could we sell it as is, or would we have to go through some DEP process with the waterways?
Plus, we could not tell a developer that we could rezone it because it's not in the borough.
Yeah, we'd have to look at what the zoning is on that property. I didn't look that up before I came in here. But there would be more questions if you want to sell. I think it's, you know, it's something all I'm saying is we should decide sometime this year what we want to do with it.
I mean, it's, you know, we've talked about future solar sites. We're in the borough, we have 40 acres to do a potential site like that.
We don't have the money to put up a solar site and get the infrastructure. If you're gonna start talking about pie in the sky dreams about solar, I wanna see documentation of what it's gonna cost us to get electric lines from out there into the borough. Or what's the transfer method? Where's that money coming from? We just approved a $13 million budget for a substation. I don't think you're gonna get a set of lines from out there into the borough for 13 million. I don't think you're gonna get a return for your money. I personally don't want the reservoir. If Londonderry Township wants it, if somebody wants to take it over and keep it as a recreational area, great, because I think that's what it needs to stay. And however we have to make that happen, that's what we need to look at, because we're wasting Matt's time and we're wasting the borough residents' money on a piece of property that's not in the borough. It's time to unload it. Get it off our backs.
For free?
I don't care. As long as if the state wants to invest money in it, that money's our money too. When they say they're gonna get a grant from the state, that's coming out of your pocket, my pocket, everybody in this room's pocket.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm all about getting money,
Well,
teaming
I
up
think
with the
the
state.
financial benefit would be whatever staff time and materials are spent out there. And then I don't know what MS4 credits to come back to us would equate to be. But there's different ways to look at financial benefit, I think, other than just cash.
MS4 credit's just an idea. We don't know if
I
that's
know.
possible, but this whole discussion started because the Fish and Boat Commission said, we can't stock that the way it was. It needs to be dredged. They have an agreement with the borough for using that as a fishing area. Okay, I don't know what the term of that is, but Middletown and the Fish and Boat Commission have an agreement that they are allowed to stock that for fishing. So, that's what drove this. I brought up the condition of the dam, okay? Under my watch, I don't wanna be here when, I know it is a low hazard dam, but, you know, a couple of bricks go out and water starts moving, after a while, more bricks go out. And I just don't want us to be in a position where the dam falls down, and then will we ever be able to get it rebuilt? Maybe you'll never fish out there, it'll just be a stream going through the property. Because that's a man-made impoundment out there that the Borough Authority received in 1960 from the Middletown and Royalton Water Company. It was transferred when that company went out of business, along with the water treatment plant down on Mill Street, and one of the standpipes. It's all on the same deed. So, you know, if you transfer that property to somebody else, somehow, you know, Jim would know how you separate those tracts off of one deed into another.
If the sentiment is and the attitude is it's not in the borough, we have enough parks and recreation, we don't care, let's get it off the back. Why don't we call a realtor tomorrow and put it for sale and sell it for $500,000 and take the money and put it back into the borough of Middletown? If that's the sentiment, if no one cares about it, and the attitude is get it off our back.
Yeah, but that's the assumption that it can be sold to a developer who, you know, there's wetlands, there's Iron Mine Run, there's the dam. I mean, it's complicated.
It's worth the try. It doesn't cost anything to call a realtor. Call a realtor and list it.
It's currently zoned agricultural.
It'd
Call
have
a
to be
realtor and
rezoned.
list it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenging piece of property. It's not, I don't know how many of you have been out there. It's not very level. There's some serious rock outcroppings out there. It's not a conducive, developable plot of land.
Who said anything? Everybody's sticking to developers. there's multiple people that might be interested in that land. And I think we owe it to the citizens of Middletown to see what we can get for it. Because if somebody gave us an offer of 100,000 or 50,000, that's better than $1.
I brought it up over a year ago to sell it, nobody wanted to.
I'll sell it. I'll make a motion tonight. Let's hire a realtor. Let's engage with a realtor and let's put it on the market.
I'm 100% with him, but I agree with you, put it on the market.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, why would,
Right.
even if we got $50,000, that's $50,000 we can put towards parks.
Well, it sounds like we don't have enough information to really make a decision. If we don't know if Londonderry's interested, is that true, based on the meeting?
Well, there has been no discussion with anybody other than the township manager at this point.
Especially if there'd have to be matching funds of some sort that. So it feels to me that we should explore that and we should have Londonderry explore their interest. I don't know how we can make a decision what to do without more information.
Is Londonderry Township interested or not? Yes or no? That's a yes or no answer. Ken would have to call Steve Letavik. Steve would have to bring it up at their next township meeting and see if they even have any interest in that property.
Well, Steve is interested, but he hasn't talked to his commissioner.
Well, that's the problem.
Because we have to decide what we want to do first. We don't ask them what they want to do until we know what we want to do. That's why I bring it up.
And it sounds like we don't have enough information to know what we want to do.
Yeah, but if we're going to sell it, there's no sense talking to them.
That's what I was gonna say. I would be more in favor, just put it on the market. If they wanna bid, they
Yeah.
can bid.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, if it was my choice, I'd say because Middletown's landlocked, we have no real estate, I'd say keep it. But but I'm not giving it away. So if no one wants to keep it, I would say put it on the market and let the market do its thing. But I mean, if it's so bad and if the picture's as bad as Ken's painting, why would Londonderry want to take, our leftovers?
Well, because there's money to fix it, but they would have to spearhead the project, they may have to do matching funds, and that is maybe not something that we want to do.
Maybe not.
In terms of matching funds, when we have parks inside our borough that need funded,
I guess
And-
my first question would be, would Londonderry be open to paying us for the property?
At market
The
value.
ans- At market value. If the answer to that's no, and then I suggest we put it on the market.
I like that concept. Give them like the
Pat?
first.
I'm with you guys. I mean, it seems like, I know the gentlemen were here and people are passionate about that property, but all the years I lived here, I didn't even know about it. My wife grew up here. She didn't even know about it. So I question, like, the majority of people there, are they Middletown residents or just people from, around
Wherever.
other towns? On top of that, like I see as well, like, how many projects we do have going on right now. And to throw it, I mean, that's a huge project out there. It just doesn't seem like a good use of our time or our funds when we have so many other things going on. Do we need to have, whether we decide to sell it or look into it more, do we need to have HRG do anything with it either way?
Well, if we're going to sell it, I think the first thing, if you think maybe look at the Fish and Boat Commission agreement, see what that says.
Yeah.
Maybe we talk to HRG about the sell property that had a permitted dam on it.
Yeah, normally you can,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, the buyer would have to step in all those responsibilities.
I mean, even if you sold to Londonderry, it's still the same concept. Whether you're selling it for 100,000 or selling it for $1, you're still going through those motions, correct?
Can I say something here?
Yes, Mayor.
I've been on record previously saying that I think that Middletown Borough has far too many parks within borough proper to begin with. And now we're dealing with one that's not even within the borough. So my position is to rid yourselves of the liability, it being a standing body of water. 2, you have a major project on your hands, if it's at all comparable to what Ken referenced from a decade ago. And 3, my position would be to list it. Why would you go to Londonderry first and say, would you want this for $1? We'll get rid of it. I'd rather list it, and if you don't get anything for it, then the backup is to go to Londonderry and say, would you take it for $1?
I mean, that
Right.
makes the most sense, in my opinion.
I'm on board with that.
So if we make a motion to put that property up for sale today, we have to amend the agenda again.
Well, you don't have to do it tonight,
I
maybe
was
you
gonna
let
say,
them
you
look
might
at
wanna
it.
put it on the agenda for the next, and then
put it on the
you get
agenda
some
for
public
next meeting.
comment or whatever.
Well, I know what the public comment's gonna be.
Right.
And I love the reservoir. I grew up there since I was 2 years old. It's great. We'll go up there now. It's not great.
I've never stepped foot, honestly, I've never stepped foot there. It's
It's in the spring, it's a big trout
Exactly.
fishing.
yeah, I've never
People
stepped
that are
foot
coming here to say what they wanna do don't live in the borough, and that's okay. It's not.
I would just like to add that we may want to have some sense of putting it up for market for so long, because if it's going to sell, then it's going to sell. If we drag it on and our default is Londonderry, well, they miss the opportunity for Mahaffey to get them funding, because it sounds like Mahaffey made it sound like a decision would have to be made this year. And,
Just to give you some context, prior to this council, when I talked about 2007 going forward, every time there was a discussion in here to dispose of it, because there was even discussion of selling back at the time, or transferring to conservancy, the folks who wanted to keep it always won out and said, we want to keep it and make it better as a Middletown park. We could do this and that. That's every time it's come up prior to tonight, prior to this council, that's what has shot it down.
But they haven't made it better. It just sat there and rotted.
Yep.
That's the problem.
When the authority owned it, the authority was fixing it, but now, they had a different source of funds that we don't have, because it was a water resource at that time, but we don't have that luxury, that revenue source like they had, so.
Now, Ken, the point that Ellen's making is a good one. If the listing would not prove fruitful, and you're gonna be going to Londonderry, and they're going to be attempting to apply for grant funding, then you should limit the listing to a 90-day listing or something like that. If there's no bites, then move on.
That'll be next meeting.
Okay, so from here, we'll get the agreements to Jim and let him look at those.
Sort out that.
At the July meeting, you can vote as far as the listing. I think Matt has something one day.
The only thing I would
Oh.
put is, if we can carve out, we currently have a place out there that we use for spoil disposal.
Oh, so now it's an asset.
Well, it's not an asset, but,
I mean,
if we can carve off, an acre and a half, we're already using it, because if not, I have to haul our spoil when we do any work in the borough, and I have to pay to get rid of it, plus haul it fairly far away.
That would take a subdivision plan approval in Londonderry, not a big deal.
If we're going to go through that process, if that's possible, if not, then I don't have anywhere in the borough to go with spoil, I have to truck it off-site and pay for every load that leaves.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, all properties are assets. I'm not here saying give it away, I'm saying make a decision because the dam's in disrepair. Decide what you want to do with it. Somebody else, other than Ken Kleinpeter, has an idea. Okay, that's state representative and Fish and Boat Commission. So those are the issues on the table for you to decide what you want to do with it.
well, their idea is to get us money and to do a joint project with us.
Somebody, them or us, or if we don't want it on the dairy to dredge it, fix the dam.
But right now, it would be us,
Keep
because
it
we
as
own
a
it.
fishing site, a recreational site, yes. So,
So Representative Mahaffey approached you to do a project with us, because we're the current owners.
he originally was approached because the Fish and Boat Commission approached him. They wanted it dredged before they stopped it again. And they went to the Army Corps of Engineers and said, can you dredge it for us? They said, we can do it, but somebody else has to come up with half the cost of dredging. That started. So that alerted me and Matt to look at the dam again and see where the leaks are and say, now this thing is eroding under the southern embankment, I don't know, southern, eastern, whatever it is, but And it's also got places where it looks like the water could be coming through. So, like I said, there were blocks knocked off the top. I think it was either last summer or early this spring, he patched it. And, you know, I just wanna, you know, say that it looks bad to me, the dam. And if we're going to keep it, we gotta engage an engineer to look at that and say, what do we need to keep it from, if anything, to keep it from getting worse?
Seems like we're all on the same page pretty much about moving forward with
Yeah.
seeing what we can get for it.
Yeah, we'll see what the market will give us.
Greg has some.
I just wanted to make a couple comments. I don't know how many people actually went out there and looked at the reservoir lately. I heard some people say they've never been out there or whatever, but it's not a place that's a junk hole. We actually, when I came back on board here, went out there and put a little bit of time and redid there's a walking trail named after an individual here in town. Put benches around there, put the walking trail in, stoned a lot of stuff. And a lot of people in Middletown do use it. It's not just outsiders. There's a lot of people in Middletown that do. There's not many places that you can go that has a lake like that for trout fishing. The next one's Boiling Springs, and if you see on TV, Boiling Springs just got a ton of money from the state to redo Boiling Springs. That's a draw for them. That's their golden gem in Boiling Springs. This may be a mile out of town, but it's still Middletown. It's not Middletown Borough, it's still Middletown. So there's different viewpoints, and my viewpoint is kind of a little opposite from yours because I grew up out there, not just fishing. There's people, when we were making repairs out there, I seen families going out there from Middletown. And I said, fishing isn't in, and this was real early in March or something. They were going out there to collect frogs and stuff, and frogs with their kids. So, on that sense, it is used for recreation. It's been part of our parks here in the town. It's listed as a park on our website. And yes, every park is a liability, including this. There's issues with the dam. There's possibly money out there. If you don't want it, then I just hate to see down the road us get rid of it and find out, you know what, we could have used this because of new technology for a little power generation or whatever, like you said. I've been looking for a spot for solar for a long time. And yes, you can put a solar plant in. We did an effort a mile and a half long, and it was down in the town. Mile and a half long, almost 2 mile long transmission line back to their substation.
You can do directional boring too.
Absolutely. It was out of their town. It was the township. But it was farmland that they had to go out because they didn't have that. If you guys do decide to truly go down that road, and to me, I'm not in favor of it, but if you do, I would hope, rather than, I know you wanted to say about putting it on the market. What about the Game and Fish Commission? Game Commission buys property all the time. I would love to see it sold or given that it stays as a recreation. If Middletown doesn't want to have their name associated with it, I always thought it was a gem. That's why we were fixing it up. If you don't want your name associated with it, then sell it to the Game Commission and the Fish Commission. Let them have the liability, and then it'll at least stay open to the residents that use it.
Mm-hmm.
It is used by the residents, so this isn't just something that's sitting there rotten and, you know, no residents are getting benefits from it. I would suggest go out and some weekend, some evening, and see actually how many people are out there. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised the first month of fishing season how many people, hundreds of people around there. So I just wanted to bring that up. I know what happens. You put it on the market, and you just not right. Some rich developer, he's going to put his house on it and post it all off, and there goes people that have enjoyed that for the last how many, 50, 60, 70 years, or however long it's been there, no longer have that capability.
No, thank you for your comments, but, you know, like I said, I'll end with this. I very nervous about selling it just because we don't have any more real estate. There's thousands of ones uses we could potentially use it for. We just learned that 5 minutes ago, all this time we've talked about it, we just learned we're using it for dumping. However, I will not ever vote to give it away, so I would compromise it, listing it and getting at least something for it to put back into the borough. So that's like my compromise, so to speak.
So, Jim, while you're looking at the fish and boat, would we want to see what other restrictions there are on the property?
We looked before at restrictions, there really weren't any restrictions.
Okay.
Mr. Kleinpeter, do you have any more on your report?
That's all I have. Oh, no, I do have one thing that came up here late, that I was handed before the meeting, and it's in your packet, is this mutual aid agreement for fire emergency response, with Susquehanna Airport. Mr. Foreman was at a meeting or training session at the airport today, and, they passed this on to him, and I guess they're looking for this agreement with the neighboring municipalities, like, if there's a firework, they could come here and assist us, or if they have something, we assist them. So, I asked Grace to send us to Chief Whitebread today, but I wanted to let you know about it in your packet. If you, it's pretty simple, maybe you want Jim to look at it for next meeting, but, and we can discuss it
Okay.
January 5th if we want to approve this or not. Or not
Okay.
January, July. If we want to approve it. Okay, that's all I have.
Excellent, thank you. Agenda item number 10, codes. Are we not,
Yeah, Jason is on vacation today.
do you have anything to share for him, or are we
Let me-
just,
There's a report in here.
Do you want this?
Let me take a look at this report. Okay. Oh, good news is we only have 2 properties left to close out the cab. That's the corrective action plan for some properties in the floodplain. He's still looking at the idea of purchasing or changing our ordinance to go to like an instant ticket system for citations for high grass. Instead of sending a letter and saying you've got 10 days to cut your grass, you get a fine. There are some communities who have adopted an ordinance that says, that gives the code guy the authority to fine you on site that day. And if you want to oppose it, then you have to go to try to move things along faster. So he talks in here about the current process is a door tag or a phone call, then a certified or standard letter sent to the owner. And it can take a month to process this. You know, so somebody can have long grass sitting there for a month. I know he talked with Dan, he said that in Lebanon, he got some information from Lebanon, they have an ordinance where they've adopted these quick fines in their ordinance where they can give these instant citations when you go out there, take the picture, come back here, write up the letter and go and stick it on the door or send it out right away. So that's something he's looking into. If council's interested in that, I know we'd be happy to look at that a little bit more.
That's what I had on my circle here, because I read his report on Friday when Grace sent it out. I'd like to see us move forward with that to streamline this process, because.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if it saves staff, and it saves staff time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll correct the problem sooner. You know,
Yeah.
I've talked about this in the past, some of these sites that we give them a letter, but, you know, I think we moved it from 10 days to 7 days, but still, then, after 7 days, you do a citation, and then they don't have to pay if they want to have a hearing before the district magistrate. There's another lag, and then maybe the grass is still growing, or the property's still jumped up, so you're sitting there looking at it for maybe a month until you get the hearing in front of the judge. So maybe the instant ticket will get people to act a little bit quicker. So, I'll tell him to continue to look at this, see if he has all the information he needs. He may need to do some more research, but wanted to get a feel from you guys what you thought about that idea.
George, Jim, are you aware of any other municipalities that have something like this?
I can't think of any off the top of my head. There's no
Steel.
reason, I was gonna say, no reason you can't do it. I mean, you also could do, you know, for a first offense, you give it, you know, a week or something, and then, you know, once you have a repeat offender, then you go right. But unfortunately, the big lag really is the MDJ part.
Right.
You know, and that is what it is. But you can be chasing your tail on some of these where within the days they take care of it and there is no valid, you know, violation. And then it becomes a joke, you know, that, you know, you wait till you get the note. So that's probably the bigger thing that fixes as opposed to the lag will be there. Somebody goes, if they're gonna play the MDJ. And, you know, MDJ on first offenses usually give them one more chance anyway, but, you know, there is a real beauty of cutting out that absolute, you know, 10-day requirement, 7-day requirement.
Okay. I'd like to see us move forward with it anyway. Whatever we need to do.
I'll report back to Jason.
Anything else on Jason's report you'd like to touch base on? Okay. Agenda item number 11, electric.
My action items, I think we took care of that tonight with advertising the demolition of 231 Oak Hill. I don't know if you've seen the schedule, but they would be looking at, opening bids, September 5th, and recommending, the award at September 19th council meeting, which would make the initial construction start the middle of October. And final completion would be set for around middle of November. That's kind of why we were a little bit on a rush with this to get that done. We only had one application for the lineman position. We offered him the job and he turned it down because family problems he didn't want to have to move. So, he needs 4 hours away. We're still advertising. 2 positions open. That's all I have.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Wilsbach?
I'd like to thank the Borough Electric Department for their quick response to the last power outage in Oak Hills. It was about 20 minutes.
Thank you. That was a suicidal squirrel.
I figured that.
But just to give you a real quick summary, what happened was it got in one of our circuit poles right outside of Spruce Street substation, and it actually was enough of a fault, high impedance fault, that it went through our breakers because they're so old down there, went through the relays and actually took the relay out at Mill Street for our transmission line. So it killed that whole sub, which is half our town.
Yeah.
And needless to say, he was still alive. He was burnt. There wasn't a hair left on him, and leg was blown off, and tail was half, and he wouldn't.
Oh my
He wouldn't let
gosh.
us help him out. He just, I said, okay, well, go tell your buddies this is what happened.
Oh, man. That is.
But yes, thank you for that.
That
I will
is.
pass that on to the guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Agenda item number 12, Sally.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
I don't have any additions to my report tonight. If you have any questions on anything.
No,
Yeah.
but thank you for a clean audit.
Yeah, happy about that.
Yeah.
We're all happy about that. Anybody, any questions for Sally?
He's a good record keeper.
We're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sally.
Agenda item number 13, Matt?
Quick and to the point. Not much is on here for this month. I will have some things for July's workshop meeting, a few things coming up. Camera vendors still waiting for some things to come in, but they have most of the infrastructure in place for Oak Hills as well as here, and still waiting to get some other cameras for Hoffer. staff did a good job, I believe, with craft fair. Sounds like it was a good event. Everyone had a good time.
The park looked great.
Thank you. Yeah, the guys they've been doing a good job. Couple big things we're gonna be working on. Gonna start replacing the pavers downtown here in the crosswalks that need to be taken care of, that crack and disintegrate. And I'm gonna have to have them spend some time up at the square. A lot of the pavers around the square are shifting. I'd like to do something more permanent up there eventually and do something with the pavers. I got a quote for stamped concrete and it was really out there. So I think for the meantime, I'll have staff go up and reset them, but I'd like to eventually put the bed to the pavers. For 2024, I'm gonna see if I can work into the highway budget for replacing the crosswalks downtown here. And then we don't have any more pavers in the streets anywhere. They're gonna be a continued issue for us forever. So, that'll be something coming up in the budget, and it will hopefully, reduce our ongoing liability as well as staff time out in the street replacing pavers on their hands and knees.
Is a crosswalk something that you could fund with liquid fuels?
No. If we just did asphalt, yes. If we wanted something decorative, then no. So, I was looking for something that's called Ada Print, and, they have it up at the Med Center. It's colored completely through, so if it gets chipped or dinged, it maintains its same color. It's very durable. It has glass and some other things in it. It's a partially recycled product. Up at the Med Center, they have a brick patch red and has a brick pattern. It's very nice. It's very durable. The cost I had, I'm sure it's going to be different. I'm just throwing something off the top of my head. When I got a price last year, it was around $75,000 to do the 12 or 13 crosswalks we have downtown. So I will see if I can work that into the budget, even if we just do it over a course of a few years to eliminate a few at a time, just to make that go away.
Matt, what would do you have any idea what it would cost to do the square if we did the square in 4 separate sections, instead of tackling the whole job in one shot?
The square's kind of interesting. I think the price, and forgive me, I think it was roughly $35,000 for stamped concrete up there. Some of the quads have much more, like the one at 7-Eleven is very large. Some of the other ones, there's not nearly as much around them, so it would depend on how we kind of broke it up a little bit. I could surely investigate that and come back to see, we could do concrete ourselves. I could order colored concrete, it just wouldn't have a pattern to it. I could get a red dyed concrete that would be made on the truck that way. It would at least be a color, but it would not have the same look, the same texture. But, you know, it kind of funnels back into, there's been probably for as many years as many of you and I've been here, I'm not sure anyone likes how the square looks. So there's been different things, you know, what can we do there? How can we go? What can we do to make it look better, kind of more inviting to the town? I think it's, to do something there, HRG had put something together a few years ago, and it would be a costly project. My goal is just to look at minimizing our ongoing maintenance and liability with pavers that are a little out of whack.
Okay.
Some of them are a lot out of whack, aren't they?
Some are, yeah, it's,
You can trip on them.
yes. And it's difficult because, you know, when they were put in, a lot of the areas are very narrow, and you can't, it's very difficult to get compaction in a narrow space. It's easier to compact something large. So it was probably doomed from the beginning whenever it was done. But as I try and do my job here, I always try to look for, first and foremost, reducing our liability and reducing our risk, and then trying to reduce future maintenance costs with trying to make something more permanent if we can, if it's feasible. So, but I will have some things on July's workshop. So.
While Matt's up here, I'd like to bring up an issue that Counselor Lloyd brought to my attention today. That's been out there for a while, resident on out in Oak Hills there at Wharton and Spring has asked for a trash can on the corner because of the, I guess the students and the trash that ends up on the ground and so forth. The resident has been here and asked for it directly at council, I think a year or so ago, and is asking again. I told Councilor Lloyd I would bring it up tonight. I know Councilor Lloyd is in favor of putting a can there at that corner of Spring and Wharton. We did a few years ago, we had another resident who was asking for one at Spring and Main.
Mm-hmm.
And after some repeated requests, I think Greg finally sat one there. It's a decorative can on Main Street, and we do empty that one. After we set that one there, we got the request for one at Spring and Wharton, and that request is in front of a counselor again, and wanted to bring that up. I know Matt spends quite a bit of time collecting, his folks collect trash at the parks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always out of the trash cans, sometimes it's on the ground. But the resident out there says there's been a problem with trash on the ground, and thought that maybe if a can went there, why her property would get less.
Mm-hmm. Is it, so that's a four corner, so there's four houses there.
Four houses.
Is it just one person that
It's
feels
just
they have
one
litter?
Person that has asked for the trash
Mm.
can. But, it was one person at Spring and Main, and we put that there, and, so, I'm not opposed to putting one there, but, I said to Councilor Lloyd, when you start dropping them at one corner, maybe the next corner wants one, and we just have to decide where we're gonna stop.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as Councilor Lloyd pointed out, that particular corner is where more of the students are parking along the road and walking to go into the campus. And she wouldn't be for putting one at other corners, like where you don't have that kind of traffic, but she thought it would be wise for us to put one there. The other thing I brought up to Matt today, if we did put one there, unlike Main and Spring, Main has like a 6-foot sidewalk. The trash is at the curb, or plenty of room to walk. The corner at Spring and Wharton has a 3-foot sidewalk, so we'd have to sit it in the grass if one went out there.
Whose grass is it?
Yeah.
Is it our grass?
No, it's a resident. It's a private.
I want to go on the record as saying I'm totally against putting a trash can there. That particular corner, and I'm sure I know the particular resident, it's been nothing but complaints for a decade. I can't help where you live. I can't help it. She wanted things painted on the street, we did it. Then she wanted lights on the stop signs, we did it. Then she wanted traffic studies done, we did it. Then she asked me to get signs for telling people to slow down, to stick it along yards there. I didn't do that. There comes a point where you can't pander to a person's personal needs because of their living location. I cannot help the corner that she lives on, and you're gonna open Pandora's box by putting a trash can there. Then every other Tom, Dick, and Harry around town is gonna say, well, I want one. They're expensive, and you're creating more work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about having a tidy town. My fear is also creep, that,
Yeah.
I think it opens the possibility, not saying it would happen, but it lends itself to how do you decide where you put them and where you don't put them. And
That's in a quiet residential area.
Yeah,
Main Street is different. So that's tucked back in a corner of town. Then all the people on Main Street that have all the students walking down through, why are they not requesting them? And if they do, are you gonna honor it?
yeah,
I'll
that's-
put in a request for one on my corner right now.
What can I say, and what we find out too, in Public Works is a lot of times these trash cans that we're putting out like that, all they really do is become a place for people that walk their dogs to
Yep.
dump their waste. They don't wanna take it back to their house, I see it all the time in the park.
yeah.
95% of the people that walk their dogs in Oak Hills, past the park, go up to the trash can and drop their dog.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's,
Yeah.
look at the blessing in disguise here. At least it's making its way into the trash can and not
Oh, agreed, but.
little
with
kid
that-
running, stepping in. And I mean,
No, I think Greg's point is they pick it up. Their probably intention is to take it home, but hey, there's a trash can. I'm going to put it here instead of
No.
taking it home.
I mean,
So I think they're cleaning it up, right? It's not that it's not
Absolutely,
cleaned
yeah,
up.
They just don't want it in their
Yeah.
garbage for the week. They,
Yeah.
Well, they don't wanna carry it the whole way. But
I mean,
I've done that. I know.
I mean, I would do the same thing.
But a garbage can full of dog waste creates another issue.
It does.
So,
When this request came on, months ago, I actually went out a couple times, and I'm not sure if Matt did it too, just to visually see if there is a big garbage, and really, I didn't notice anything different than any other streets.
I drive that section of Wharton Avenue when I'm home, probably every day. And I have not seen a huge pile of trash. I mean, there's
Agreed.
there's probably
Mhm.
one or two kids, I mean, cause the kids walk, from the campus walk that way. I mean, there's trash in front of my house. Matt, would you like to put a trash can in front of my house for people that don't, you know?
There's trash on High Street all the time.
Yeah,
I live across
exactly.
From a restaurant, the students typically come down spring, come up high, go down Union to the bars and the businesses on Main Street. You know, it's just the way it is. I pick up the trash and throw it in my trash can.
Exactly.
If there's a piece there. But as Rich just said, I travel down that way as well. I don't ever see it look like a landfill, like there's some major littering problem at Spring and Wharton.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess let's just keep an eye on it, and if something ticks up, bring it back to our attention.
Would she have the ability to set one out there herself? I mean, I know the trash.
It's on her
well,
property.
the trash ordinance, though.
Oh, as far as your can has to be back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
but-
right, I didn't think about that, but yeah, I don't think she would.
Well, but the
she-
point,
He thought maybe she could set her own, person could set their own can out, leave it out there, but the trash ordinance says your personal trash cans are supposed to go back
So that would.
to the
Yeah.
house after the trash day, you're picking up, so.
yeah.
I mean, to add to it a little bit, not to beat the horse, but, you know, we have a bunch of cans here downtown in the business area, and although Penn Waste is supposed to pick them up, we end up picking them up probably as often as Penn Waste does. Grace is kind enough, we contact them, they put their hands in the air, it's a new guy, forgot, whatever, we hear a whole litany of things. So oftentimes we end up going and getting all of the cans downtown and in front of Borough Hall as well, even though that is their contractual job to do. We do it because they get full. So, yeah, creep is just my
right.
concern of starting to go a bunch of different directions for something that may not necessarily be completely a municipal,
Mm-hmm.
responsibility.
We
Yeah.
should demand a credit from them when they do that.
Absolutely. The highway department, for years collected all the trash downtown. And it took two people, they used to have ride a pickup truck, load up the pickup truck, one go across the street. And I think when I came here in 17, I just decided that, you know, we had lost a lot of workforce. Maybe 10 or 11 people down to about 5 people. I thought that was one thing we could eliminate some labor, so the next time a trash contract came up, I wrote it in that trash guys would collect from those cans, and they did. And we didn't have this problem with Penn Waste until post-COVID.
Yep.
When the labor issue became a problem because they had so many new drivers. And then we don't find it just downtown, we find it missing pickups and we're chasing them. So, I think what I'm saying is we're handling it with Penn Waste, and there are some things in the contract that we can charge for. I'm not sure it's written in for missing a can downtown, but we'll look at that. But I guess the point Matt is making is, because the first thing I thought this morning, if we do put cans somewhere else, the next time the trash can contract's up, like the one that's Main and Spring, I'm gonna ask them to pick that up too. So, you know, once a week. So you can imagine if we start increasing the number of cans throughout town, you know, it just creates more of a burden for somebody.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, keep us in the loop on it. Thank you, Matt.
Will do. As always, let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Agenda item number 14. Director Wright.
Yep. Good evening, everybody. I'll try to to make this as quickly as possible. Staffing update, we're down, we have 3 open positions still. Sergeant Wenner leaving makes 4, but the new hire, Coleman Witherite, starts July 24th. So it's pretty much a wash at that particular point. We are testing in July with all of the incentives that you guys graciously provided us, so we'll see how that helps. We'll have time to, we received the academy schedule and the deadlines for applications and testing for the January 2024 academy. We can't fill the spots. We should be able to test again and try to get somebody in through the academy. So I'll be coming before you in the fall, requesting that we can offer a test and waive the Act 120 requirement, which is in the new ordinance that was just passed last meeting. You heard that the 2 police vehicles were in. We're doing a little better with vehicles than highway and electric. I think our projections were in the upcoming years. Ours actually came in on time, so that's good to see. And with the help of finance and Sally, the lease payments came in under the projected budget that we had put together last year. I'd give her props for that, but I think she's getting too many props tonight, so I don't want to. Yeah, we'll save that for next month. The only thing that's not on my agenda is received an MOU from the Middletown School District for police coverage for Fink Elementary. It's the same MOU that was signed the last time it was asked to be signed. I don't know who signed it, but it's a boilerplate MOU of police and school responsibilities. I had Solicitor Diamond take a look at it for
Yeah, and it's just a renewal, and it is per state regulations, the Department of Education. It's not, I understand, we don't have a school resource officer in there or anything. It's, you know, among other things, these are the general guidelines, like for, you know, the student records and all that kind of stuff.
release of them.
You know, while it might be a renewal and something that's been going on, I think it's the first time it's come before us.
We both
Yeah,
had that
and
same-
it's arguable it might not have to, but I actually suggested to Dan,
Right.
that he should bring it up in a report, make everybody aware of
Okay.
it. It is,
Just
again,
wondering, yeah.
boilerplate standard, you know.
It's actually on Department of Education.
Yeah,
letterhead.
there
I
there
saw
are
that.
regulations
I
saying
saw that.
this.
I did have a question though,
Sure.
and I'm sorry, I saw it on the email. I don't see it in the packet, so help me remember. It is the responsibilities of the police department. And number 1 is to do things that don't sound like something we've ever done before. Dan, can you read them off? It's the same number 1 then as the responsibility under the school district, and it's like help with delinquency, help with.
Help the school entity prevent delinquent acts through preventative measures, including referrals to support services, diversionary programs, restorative practices, school-wide positive behavior supports, educational deterrence. So if we got involved in any type of school incident that we were brought to, we would use all the resources available to us, including support services, victim witness.
That's
any
what
other-
it's saying.
Any other
Okay.
agencies that we have, that we would use for any other situation that we'd be involved in.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, this really is regulatory, but it's almost kind of a reminder that you have this unique circumstance where you got 2 governmental entities, and one is in loco parentis, you know,
Yeah.
responsible for these kids, but also the police come in and they're responsible for,
Mhm.
you know, health and safety and all those kinds of things in the
Mhm.
community, and that, you know, really kind of tries to work through as, I think, reminders as well as everything else. You got to work together, you know, game plan this stuff and have it cooperate, so it's not one coming in pushing the other aside.
Yeah.
And then little reminders like, you know, when you're in that unique world, the school district folks are locked down under the, you know, federal
FERPA.
FERPA regulations on,
Yeah.
you know, certain information that try to remind you that
Mhm.
you can't throw out into the community
Right.
some of these, you know,
Right.
privacy protected student
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
But I thought it was worth bringing here,
Mhm.
even if it doesn't normally show up here.
Yeah, it's good to know.
Yeah, it was good education, because I looked at it too, and I'd never seen it before. And I actually had
So
some of
thank
the
you,
same
Jim.
questions.
Yeah.
I also have an update from the fire department who can't be here tonight. So, their 2001 KME, which is a piece of fire equipment, is ready
for sale. They're getting some pictures together so Grace can advertise that. They're working on their gaming grant for debt reduction on the 2020 Seagrave engine, another piece of fire equipment, red and got stuff on.
Yeah, it's got a pump on it, hose.
And they've reached out to Schultz, Brown, Sheridan, Fritz to begin the process of their audit.
Oh, nice.
Oh, great.
Good for them.
Thank you, Dan, for
Any other
bringing that to
questions
us.
or anything else? Craft fair was a hit? Excellent.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. Agenda item number 15, the joint venture / Viola. Doesn't look like they're here with us tonight as usual. Agenda item number 16, council. Does council have anything you'd like to add? Anybody? No? Okay, excellent. At this time, do we have general public comment?
Darnell Nolan, 507 Lebanon Street. Hello, everybody. Dan, this is from my neighbor, I think he's next door to me, 511 Lebanon Street. I said, the RV's parked across from Giants, they have, the RV ain't allowed, how many days? I guess when you leave, you come up to Villa,
You're signing,
These are all
no,
the same.
actually,
let me see.
Let me sign that.
no,
If you're leaving Giants,
you're not secretary.
and going to, I think so. If you're leaving Giants and going to a Village Street, you go straight to where the dance is. Yes. Be on the left-hand side, there's the RV. Back, I guess, and he's saying, why can't he park his, you know?
I'll get her moved.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing no more public comment, do I have a motion to adjourn? We will be going to executive session to discuss personnel potential litigation. We will not be returning.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.